at it again, and apparently Joe Rogan said something about Soros, George Soros. Now, I haven't seen this clip. I have no clue what he even said. I just saw the title of this, and I just thought it was interesting because, you know, before I began this journey, this year, I had never even heard the name George Soros. Never, it never crossed my radar. Not even once. Didn't even know the guy existed. All right. Now, obviously, you know, throughout this journey, I've discovered who he is and, you know, kind of what he actually does, or, you know, in the U.S. and, you know, around. So to hear somebody as big and as popular and as prominent as Joe Rogan mention his name, I think it's fantastic because, like I said earlier, before this journey, I had no clue who this guy was. Right. And it's not like I was hiding under a rock or anything. Okay. So to have him be put on Front Street a bit more and to have his name recognized a bit more, I think is a good thing. It's the same thing with all of these other elites that, you know, are trying to control basically all of us. All right. To have all of their names exposed a bit more, I think is fantastic. So I wanted to check out this video with you guys and see what Joe Rogan had to say, because it says Joe Rogan blast George Soros. So let's dive in and see. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Make sure you're following me on social media too. And if you would like to join the Discord server, which is basically just a glorified chat room, it's totally free to join. It's the first link in the description box below. And with that being said, let's dive in.
Joe Rogan puts his mega donor George Soros on blast, not his mega donor, for his crime-ridden agenda.
I had a conversation with the governor.
How old is he? He looks pretty darn old. I mean, no offense. You know, growing old is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who, unfortunately, will never get that opportunity. But, sheesh, he looks old. Somebody let me know how old he is. All right?
Crime-ridden agenda.
I had a conversation with the governor of Texas about him, with Greg Abbott, where he was explaining to me what George Soros does. And it's terrifying that he donates money to a very progressive, very leftist, whether it's a DA or whatever politician, and then funds someone who's even further left than them to go against them. It seems like he funds corrosion. It's like he wants these cities to fall apart. He wants crime to flourish. It's almost like he's an evil person in a Batman movie.
It is, and we're in the movie.
Joining us now, Fox & Friends Weekend co-host Will Cain.
When I learned about that, it was quite crazy. Because like you said, it almost seems like he wants chaos. That's what he wants. And it's just like, what? Why would anybody want that? And then, you know, as this journey went on, you know, I started to realize, well, through chaos, you have to have some type of solution. And who comes up with that solution? The people who want the power. And that solution always takes away a bit of freedom in order to have that solution. Remember oh man, I can't remember which video that was. Now I have to be careful with my words here, but you know, I was speaking about how there's been this push to, what's the word I'm looking for? Create this this feeling of safety. That's the thing that they always try to use. And actually, perfect example, right? Have you guys heard about the Biden situation where they're trying to take away our gas stoves? What's the excuse that they use to do that? Our safety, right? But that's a recurring theme with all of these things. And in exchange for safety, we lose a little bit of freedom. But it's safe. We're trying to keep you safe. We're going to lock you down in your house because we want to keep you safe, right? We're going to censor you on social media and across all social platforms because we want to keep you, what? Say it with me, y'all. Safe. See a recurring theme there? I'm just saying, I'm not the biggest conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, well, by golly, it's a duck, all right? Let the church say amen, all right? Amen.
Understand why he would fund these progressive movements. Why do you think that is? He's the #1 Democratic donor, right above Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Ainsley, you asked the toughest question right off the bat, right out of the gates. You asked the toughest question. What's his motivation? First, let me say, isn't it interesting? It's always a little bit frustrating when it seems like, and I don't mean this as a shot, but when it seems like a guy at Joe Rogan arrives at the party about 2 hours late. Like, we have been talking about George Soros. You should know about the power and the influence of George Soros. But at the same time, you're happy that you finally arrived at the party. We're glad you're here, Joe.
Yes.
It's an important party to attend. So I'm a little frustrated, as always is the case, when it kind of finally breaks through the zeitgeist, but happy that it has broken through, because I think Joe Rogan does represent sort of the zeitgeist of American popular culture.
Absolutely. And that's why I said this was huge, and I wanted to check this out, because it's Joe Rogan. It's Joe Rogan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's literally the biggest podcaster on this planet. It's Joe Rogan. I can't tell you how many countless episodes of his podcast that I've watched. Once again, it's Joe Rogan that's speaking about this, so his reach is vast. So when he speaks about something, a lot of people hear about it, and I was hoping that, I forgot this gentleman's name. I know he used to be on ESPN, the guy that was just speaking there on Fox. I was hoping that he didn't ridicule him because he was late to the party. I was like, just be happy that he's at the party, okay? Be happy that he's at least speaking about it. And he did come around to that. So I'm happy that he didn't ridicule him. I was like, I can't get behind that when you start ridiculing people because they're late to the party. We should be congratulating and applauding people no matter how late they come to the party. Now, if it's too late, then, you know what I'm saying, then we can get into a different conversation. But it's not too late. And yes, he's late, but better late than never, right? Better late than never is the way that I see it.
Happy that it has finally broken through, that there is some reflection on the influence of George Soros. To your question, Ainsley, that is the great question. What is George Soros' ultimate motivation? Why seed growing crime? Why seed chaos? Why seed corruption? And I don't know with any certainty because I can't climb inside the man's mind. And I don't think that he's published anything that fully lays out his vision of America.
Not that I'm aware of.
But my guess is, Ainsley, is through the path of chaos, you find control. At some point, if everyone has to live in a state of confusion and chaos, then at some point those that have helped organize society can exert their control over society.
Yes, sir.
And Brian, this is why we talked extensively about Will Cain on your radio program, because he can use phrases like zeitgeist,
right?
And you and I can't.
That's his name. I couldn't think of his name a second ago. Will Cain. I know Will Cain from ESPN, and then of course once this journey began and I started watching Fox more, I saw he was on Fox.
Yeah, we have to look him up while he's speaking.
Are you aware of this conversation, Will?
Yes, it's really great radio. Bravo to the Brian Kilmeade show. I mean, America's #1 trending topic, Will Cain. But no, it was really funny to watch those guys go back and forth. Hey, look, here's the deal, Pete. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know what zeitgeist means, Harvard and Princeton.
Kind of.
Explain to me, give me another word for it. I don't want to use zeitgeist, but give me a replacement word for zeitgeist that's more
a synonym
common parlance.
For zeitgeist?
Yeah, thank you.
He shares a brain with the American people. He has a pulse on kind of, because you're right, he is behind the curve. We're glad he's there.
Yeah.
But I think he thinks like most people. He's not thinking in politics and political terms all the time. He's not worried about who's the boogeyman behind the curtain. But then once it's revealed, you can't unsee it. And I think that's what makes it special about what he's talking about.
Right. And yeah,
hey,
by the way, sadly, George Soros.
That was actually the perfect way to describe it. Most people aren't looking for the guy or the gal behind the curtain pulling the strings, but once you figure out who exactly it is, like, you can't unsee it. You just can't. You know, it's like me with it's like me with leftists being hypocrites in everything that they do, and all of the hypocrisy that they commit. You know, I just have to call it out. Like I just can't unsee it. Before I was blind to it. Like I had on the blinders. Or I was like the horse. Don't horses wear like blinders that, you know, keep them looking straight ahead and don't. I was like that. I had tunnel vision, you know, walking lockstep with the leftist mission and had no clue that I was doing so. But now that the blinders have been taken off, like I can't help but to see everything around me and point it out, you know.
Has kids and they believe like he believes, so we can't just wait for him to move on to another planet.
Yeah, as would be expected. Yeah, Pete put it in simple terms. Great job, man. That's how you communicate. But you're absolutely right about you're absolutely right about Joe Rogan's role. You know, Pete and I, we've gone off the wall on George Soros. You hope that people understand George Soros. When I travel, by the way, I live in Dallas. You guys know that. Do you know what guys talk about? They talk about, it's crazy how much crime is a part of your life. Talked about the Taqueria shooting in Houston. Talked about this attempted carjacking right down the road to the shopping center where I live. It is really a part of people's lives. By the way, coming up on Fox and Friends this weekend, the reason Rachel's not here, she's doing a featured Friends promo package with Jack Brewer on inmates getting a second lease on life. We also have.
All right. So looks like they're going into a different conversation there. So yeah, very, very cool to see that somebody as prominent and as big as Joe Rogan has now pulled back the curtain for a lot of folks and let them see who's behind a lot of this stuff. And like I said earlier, once you see it, once you know, like you can't unsee it. You can't just completely forget about it. Like it's always there. So Joe Rogan is going to open a lot of people's eyes and ears to George Soros, and I think that's always a great thing. Now, of course, we can't say with 100% certainty his true intention, but we can make an educated guess. You know, we can. Listen. I feel like we can make a darn good educated guess. All right, not just an educated guess, a really good educated guess, in my humble opinion, on what the actual intention of this is. I mean, and you know, once again, and I'll end it with this. You see the play of, hey, we're gonna create the problem, but then also we're gonna come back behind it with the solution. You see that play out a whole lot. And once again, it's one of those things where once you're aware of it, you can't unsee it. Like whenever you see it, like, wait, there it is again. There it is. Look, they created that problem and now they're coming back with the solution to that. They think they're slick. Like at least for me, like I just can't like forget about something like that. It's just always popping up in different situations and scenarios when I'm searching for different video topics to talk about. You know, like stuff is always coming up. I'm like, oh, yep, they're doing it again kind of situation. So yeah, very, very interesting. You guys can let me know what you think George Soros' true intentions are in the comment section below. And do you think this is good? Do you think it will matter at all that the curtain has been pulled back for a lot of folks now? Do you think it would have no effect? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.